Welcome to Executive Leaders Radio, your spot in the corner office, the radio show where executives share their secrets to success. Executive Leaders Radio.
You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen, with my co-host, Shannon Lane, New Mark Knight Frank, Drew Hanlon, Ethan Milrod, GoTo, David Jackowitz, Evolution Financial Group, and Chris Glover, Employee Max. Ethan, can you give us a rundown on who we have on the show today, please?
Sure, Herb. We have a great show today, including Richard Jensen, CEO of Agora Cyber Charter School, Justin Spannuth, VP and COO of Unique Snacks, Nathan Niles, President and CEO of NexLyte, and Mason Reiner, co-founder and Chief Executive Officer of R Health.
Let's get to know our first guest, Richard Jensen, CEO of Agora Cyber Charter School. Richard, what is Agora Cyber Charter School? What are you guys doing?
Sure. We're a K-12 public charter school in Pennsylvania, serving students from across the entire Commonwealth, and all of our learning is done online.
And where you're from originally, how many brothers and sisters? Where are you in the pecking order?
I'm from Allentown, and I have one older sister.
And 8 to 14, what kind of stuff were you up to?
I was involved in marching band. I enjoyed playing sports. I didn't do organized sports, but a lot of sandlot, and was involved in my youth group.
Gotcha. Drew.
Rich, tell us about the marching band and what inspired you about the marching band.
Sure. When I was young, I ended up picking up the trumpet because that's what my dad played when he was a kid. And I just stuck with it and played in the band in middle school and then also high school.
Did your mom and dad come watch you perform?
Oh, yeah. They showed up to all the concerts and they came to all the football games. Absolutely.
And you mentioned that your parents were both educators. What was the impact of that?
Yeah, absolutely. They both really encouraged me to just constantly reach my highest potential. So my mom, being a reading teacher, really wanted to make sure that I had a love for literacy. And that was something that from an early age, she just really instilled in me.
Mm-hmm. Ethan?
Rich, going back to your sandlot days, what was your role on the sandlot?
I just love to play football, so I just went around the neighborhood to try and see who wanted to come out, and I brought the Nerf football with me.
Who made you the organizer?
I think it just was by default. I wanted to play, so it's not really a whole lot of fun playing by yourself, so I just went and grabbed as many people as I could that would be interested to join me.
What does that tell us about you, Rich, and what you're doing today?
I think I really am interested in serving people, and I care about people, and I am always looking to kind of have people come around and to get things done.
Mm-hmm. Didn't you just recently get a doctorate? What was the doctorate in?
Yeah, I received my doctorate from Liberty University, and it was in caring school leadership. Boy,
that goes ahead and proves it. David?
Rich, in the green room, you were talking about your admiration for your parents growing up. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how it influences you today?
Sure. Yeah, both of them were wanting to always encourage me to just reach my highest potential. And that actually is part of even our school's vision is that phrase of preparing all learners to achieve their highest potential. And I think from an early age, that was the driving force. And when you're a kid, you didn't really respect it as much. But I think later on in life, I clearly see how it had an impact in what I'm doing today.
Mm-hmm. Shannon?
Rich, I'm curious, back when you were in grade school, did everything come easy for you, or was there ever a subject that you struggled with?
Yeah, math was not a strength for me, and that was always a struggle all the way up through college and even in a doctorate when I had to take statistics. So that was a struggle, but I think it was always there. My parents, again, were like, you just got to put forth your best effort and just to get the support or help that you need to make sure that you can be successful.
And how does going through that struggle with math, how does that affect the way you're doing things nowadays at Agora Cyber Charter School?
Yeah, we're a school that's really focused on trying to help all learners, again, achieve their highest potential. So we use a multi-tiered system of supports to try and make sure that where students are struggling, we make sure that they get the supports that they need so that they can really become lifelong learners and really overcome some of those struggles.
Mr. Chris Glover.
Rich, you mentioned that in your youth, you spent time in a youth group. Can you tell us your role in that group?
Sure. I was very involved, attended every week. And then we also had officers, and I served as an officer. If I recall, at least 1 year, if not multiple years, I served as the president of the youth group as well. And so we made sure that we organized a lot of the youth group activities and any kind of other like mission trips and stuff like that. We were involved in helping to organize those.
Do you find any correlation between that youth group involvement and your leadership role now?
Yeah, I think it comes back to very much at the core of my leadership style and focus is caring leadership. And I think it's so central to what makes a good leader is that you're caring for the people that you work with, as well as your end users, your customers.
Mm-hmm. Drew?
Yeah, speaking about caring leadership, you had a back surgery as a teen and had some teachers that came to the house. So what was the impact of that entire experience?
Yeah, it was a rough year, and I had to, for the whole second half of the year, from February to the end of the year, I was laid up at home. So I had to have teachers come in, and the school district would provide it, but there were 2 teachers that I actually had before the surgery who volunteered to come to the home. And again, they modeled that they truly cared about me as a student, and they were interested in me as an individual. And that definitely had a huge impact on why I decided to go into education in the first place. But I think also definitely still impacts my real passion for caring for people.
When you're faced with a tough decision, what do you hear those teachers telling you?
Put people first. It's not necessarily about the bottom line. It's put people first. And that is something that I'm always trying to keep in mind, even from simple little things like writing a birthday card to every single employee in the organization, because that shows that you value them and respect them.
Richard, this fact you had back surgery and these teachers really impressed you, these adults really impressed you. What's that have to do with the business model of Agora Cyber Charter School?
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of students who come to us because there were maybe unmet needs from their previous school. So they're coming to us maybe because they were bullied, or maybe because they do have a health issue themselves that they're going through. And as a school, I really see that we're there to try and support every student who comes. We are a school of choice. So when they come, we want to make sure that we're providing whatever the services are. And when I think back on it, how much of a great opportunity it would have been to have a virtual school in existence when I went through that back surgery. It was a little too early. I won't reveal too much how old I am, but it was before the internet. So that wasn't available. But how much of a great opportunity is for our students to have that today.
So this is really, truly a mission for you, isn't it?
Absolutely. Like, again, the core of our vision statement starts with preparing all learners to achieve their highest potential. And I believe that goes for everyone in the organization. It's not just students, but it's all staff. And I view myself as lead learner. And I want to make sure that I'm modeling that ongoing lifelong learning mindset.
Rich, what does it mean to you when you see your students graduate? And do you ever have a chance to hear back from them later on in life to see where they've gotten to?
Yeah, absolutely. Before the pandemic, we would always have graduation at the Giant Center out in Hershey. And that was always such a incredible opportunity because you would see students connecting with their teachers, sometimes in person for the first time. They had developed such tight relationships through the online platform, and then they actually get to see their teachers. And having started as a teacher at Agora before I moved into leadership roles, that was such a memorable opportunity to make those connections. And then when we hear of reports of where this student has now moved on and they've done this, and it's really, really exciting to see how we had made a difference in their lives and really are giving them opportunities to succeed.
It's really a passion for you. This is the combination of mom and dad both being educators, and mom making sure you read the chapter before you went out to play, the discipline of that, as well as that impact that those teachers had when you had your back surgery as a kid. I guess the good thing is because you're it says here you're the CEO of this organization, you get to go in 10, 11 o'clock and come home at 3 or 4 o'clock. You don't have to work weekends, do you?
I wish. No, I typically am in early and in the office, and then I when I head home, it's typically going back on the computer. There's always emails that I need to follow up with that I didn't get to during the course of the day, and there's always things that I have to do over the weekend. But
what's the website address for this Agora Cyber Charter School?
Real simple, agora.org.
Agora.org?
Correct.
We've been speaking with Richard Jensen, CEO of Agora Cyber Charter School here on Executive Leaders Radio. Don't forget to visit our website, executiveleadersradio.com. We'll be back in a moment, right after this break.
Recognize your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, Executive Leaders Radio. Yes, you can recognize your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, executiveleadersradio.com. Simply visit executiveleadersradio.com, securely enter their info, and we'll reach out to spotlight your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, executiveleadersradio.com. Don't wait. This radio and online social media and search engine exposure is quite valuable. Yes, this radio and online social media and search engine exposure is quite valuable to your business advisors who deserve to be recognized. Visit executiveleadersradio.com now to nominate your deserving business advisors for free exposure.
We're back. You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen, and we'd like to introduce Justin Spannuth, Vice President and COO of Unique Snacks. Justin, what is Unique Snacks? What are you guys doing?
We're a 100-year-old, sixth-generation family business that manufactures hardened pretzels.
All righty. How large or how small is the team?
We're 85 people.
All righty. And where you from originally? How many brothers and sisters? Where are you in the pecking order?
Born and raised in Reading, Pennsylvania. I have one older brother.
Okie dokie. Drew.
Yeah, Justin, you told us in the green room your parents were divorced and you kind of grew up with your father. What was the impact of that experience on you?
Certainly having one parent as a working parent, spent quite a bit of time alone. So I learned how to entertain myself and find things to do on my own.
And what was that like, being like a self-starter like that? And how did that impact what you do today?
Finding ways to entertain myself was, it's something I enjoy to do. So back when I was playing with myself and would find games to play outside and figure out how to entertain myself, it was just something. Like an
innovator almost.
Yeah. Yep.
And how did that innovation kind of impact your business today and what you're doing?
Certainly creativity and innovation is something I love to do. It's my favorite part of my job.
Mm-hmm. Ethan?
Justin, tell us about your relationship with your brother.
Certainly. He's 3 years older than me, but we were never terribly close. We talk every day. We share an office, but we're very different. So he was always book smart. He liked to stay inside, play video games, play on a computer, the very beginnings of computers. I was always the other, less book smart, but more people smart, more of a go-getter in certain senses. And then, like to be outside, like to do things with my hands a little bit more.
How do you leverage the differences between the two of you, the dynamics, to benefit your business?
Yeah, so I am the self-starter. I am the creative side, the visionary side, the push to grow. My brother is more of the book smart. When something's put in front of him, he can figure it out. Mm-hmm. With a good financial mind. But I usually bring the starting to him.
Mm-hmm. David?
Justin, in the green room, you were talking about that you were very independent, kind of a loner for a lot. And then you also mentioned that you were into team sports and you're running a company. So what gives with that shift, or how are you able to be both of those at the same time?
So my personality is, a very people-oriented person. My alone time was sort of a forced upon me type of thing that I had to learn. But my nature certainly brings me to want to be around people.
Shannon?
Justin, who did you look up to as a kid?
As a child, having a single dad, he was certainly my role model as a child. He was a hard worker.
Tell us more about that. What did you see in him? How did you know he was a hard worker?
With the business, I knew what he was doing in the company when he would talk about innovating product or working on machinery. When he was at home, he did all of his own landscaping, and it was lots of it. Edging beds and cutting out beds and building rock walls, and he was an artist. He would paint large murals or canvas paintings, and he was always busy.
And what did you learn from your dad that you carry with you into work nowadays?
Certainly not afraid to get dirty, not afraid to work hard. My job has evolved, and what working hard and getting dirty means is very different from 20 years ago. But I certainly learned how to work hard.
Mm-hmm. Chris?
Justin, how old were you when you started with the business?
I was 18.
And what was your role at the ripe age of 18?
I was a clerk in our retail store.
Have you held several roles since then?
Absolutely. Yep. I was a clerk, and then I went into production. I learned how to work on the machines. I learned how to make our product. And then I came on the business end, learned marketing, learned business strategy, product development, innovation, and leadership.
So you're very familiar.
Mm-hmm. Drew.
Yeah, it's interesting. You were in the chorus, you were in the band, you were into weightlifting and on the football team. What's that tell us about you? There's like a wide variety of activities there.
Yeah. I wasn't the football guy picking on the other kids. I had a very wide range of friends. I got along with everybody, no matter their personality types. And that definitely made me one of the more different kids in school. I played football. I tried to be very good at it. I was good at chorus. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, it definitely created a wide range of friends.
You have like a real love and desire to continue to learn. Where did that come from? I mean, was you just always inquisitive, or?
Yeah, I've always had an inquisitive mind for things that intrigued me. And certainly I have a passion for what I do, and I love my job. So wanting to be the best version of what I do is really important. And I got to see a lot of mistakes that happened as well. Being a 6th generation family business, I got to see why we didn't grow more than we did in those previous generations. So I try and teach myself everything that I know I need to know on how to make it better.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned that you were, a self-starter as a kid. I'm trying to figure out how that's translated into products for the company, this innovative instinct of yours. Has it shown up in terms of products for the business?
Absolutely. So in 2010, I invented pretzel shells, and the innovation comes from what are our strengths. You have to understand yourself and your marketplace. What can you do and what can't you do, when it comes to establishing a presence in the market and what you can afford to do internally.
Well, tell us, wait. So pretzel shells?
Yeah. So pretzel shells are a hollow pretzel nugget, bite size. We needed something.
What else have you invented aside from that?
We just invented a sourdough craft beer pretzel ring.
So your innovation as a kid, your self-starting as a kid, showing up in terms of products for your food business, for food-related business. I got another question for you, which is that the fact that you were involved with football and weightlifting and chorus, you got along with everybody. What's that have to do with building this business?
Yeah, I think being able to have relationships with everyone that you meet, and really being able to connect with someone on a really nice level, a deep level, that they entrust you. I've had several people that work in our company that were relationships I've made throughout the years, and they're a phone call away when I go, I now have a position for you, and they're really great people.
So you have relationships that continue for many, many years because people trust you. It sounds to me like the relationships are really important to you. Am I correct about that?
Absolutely.
Uh-huh. Is that important in terms of your customers as well as your employees?
Absolutely. Yep. If you can relate to the people you're selling to or the people that are buying from you, and as well as your employees, you can relate to them and have conversations with them and be real with them. I think a lot of people forget that the people they're talking to are real.
Justin, if we went back and asked, the kids on the football team or in the chorus, if we said, hey, can you describe Justin to us, what would they tell us about you?
Probably the descriptions between chorus and football are very different. Football, I was pretty tenacious. I was a defensive tackle. I was on the All Berks football team, on our undefeated high school football team. So my side of the line, I closed it down.
Mm-hmm. What's the website address for this organization known as Unique Snacks? Your website?
UniqueSnacks.com.
Let me have that one more time.
UniqueSnacks.com.
Huh? UniqueSnacks.com. We've been speaking with Justin Spannuth, Vice President and CEO of Unique Snacks here on Executive Leaders Radio. Don't forget to visit our website. It's executiveleadersradio.com. To learn more about our executive leaders, that's executiveleadersradio.com. To learn more about executive leaders. We'll be back in a moment right after this quick break. You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen, and we'd like to introduce Nathan Niles, President and CEO of NexLyte. Nathan, what is NexLyte? What are you guys doing?
So NexLyte is a telecom engineering consulting firm. So we design the infrastructure with fiber optics as the backbone for Wi-Fi, cellular communications, public safety systems, mainly in transit. So SEPTA is a client, airports in the Mid-Atlantic region from Boston down to DC.
And how'd you get involved with this company?
I bought the company about 1.5 years ago.
All right. Where you from originally? How many brothers and sisters? Where are you in the pecking order?
So I am the youngest of 2 brothers. I grew up in Great Valley, Pennsylvania.
All right, which is a suburb of Philadelphia. And how young were you, 8 to 14, when you took control?
I would say that I was in 7th grade or so, captain of football and basketball teams. 12 or so, 12, 13.
Mm-hmm. Drew?
Yeah, Nathan, sports had a lot of influence on you as a youngster. What's the key takeaway from playing sports that you remember most?
Yeah, the biggest thing is that, whether you're ready or not, the game has started, right? So on football, the game starts at 1:00, the whistle's going to be blown, and the kickoff happens, and you have to be prepared. So whether you're prepared or not, the game's going to go. So
what was the impact of those lessons on what you do every day?
So it's just like any business meeting, right? The meeting starts at 10:00 in the morning, and you're either prepared or you're not prepared. Mm-hmm. And prepared doesn't necessarily mean that you're presenting, but you could be an active listener, whatever the case may be. But you have to be ready at.
You told us that your mom and dad came to watch you participate. What was the impact of looking over and having mom and dad there?
Just a support system, right? So knowing that my parents were there for me. Were supportive, never critical after a game, always supportive. They give me certain comments if I need them. But it was very helpful to have them there always.
Mm-hmm. Ethan?
Ethan, what was your role on the teams that you played on?
So football, I was more running back on offense and then outside linebacker on defense. So very involved in the play. Basketball, I was really a role player. I would be the rebounder, the defensive guy. They weren't running any plays for me, but I was still always an impactful player.
I think you mentioned earlier in the green room that basketball was more challenging to you than football, right?
Yes. Yeah, so basketball, I didn't really have any formal training before I tried out for the team in 7th grade, so I was really raw, so to speak. So it took a lot of effort for me to get good at shooting and all those things, but I was athletic, so I was able to get away with things early on, and I was always tall.
Does that tell us about you, the fact that you, even though you're really good at football and then went after the challenging sport in despite of that, what does that tell us about you?
That I saw something that I liked, and it was it meant something for me to work for. And listen, I saw the results too, right? I saw myself getting better. So the more I put into it, the more I got out of it. So,
David?
Nathan, in the green room, you were talking about going to work with your dad. How old were you when you started doing that, and what did you observe?
Yeah, I was about 6 or 7. So he had real estate properties, so rental real estate, and then also did some small-time real estate development where he would buy land and then subdivide it and build some houses. So one, it was just work ethic. And then two, I saw the freedom that he had over his own schedule. So that was important. It was also good to see how other people lived, right? So when we cleaned up apartments, et cetera, from one tenant to the next, you kind of saw what was going on. And one apartment in particular, I remember seeing all these pennies and just wondering what the person was doing, throwing money away.
What do you think that has to do with who you are today and what you do today?
So a couple of things. One is just a variety. So between the rental properties and then doing the real estate development where he would build the property, he was essentially the GC. So he was in charge of, obviously getting the financing for it, lining up the different contractors. So there's a variety of the things that he did in that job that I like. I like what I do now and see the variety of the things that I do and have seen in my career.
Just like you play different sports. You enjoy variety in your life.
Yes.
Shannon.
Nathan, can you tell us a little bit about your mom and what she was like when you were growing up?
Yeah, my mom was great. She was a very hard worker, very loving and supportive. So, in the morning she was making us breakfast. She'd go to work. She was an executive assistant for a consulting firm in the Great Valley area. And then at night, if she wasn't watching one of our sports, she would be making dinner and really a very hard worker and a great mother.
And in the green room, you mentioned the sacrifices that she made to have kids and raise you guys and take the time and effort that she put into it. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so my parents were older. When I was born, my mother was 40 and my father was 47. So, that always had an impact on me because all my friends had younger parents, right? So my parents were easily 15 years on average older than a lot of my friends' parents. So my parents could have been going into retirement and here they are helping to save up for college, et cetera, and spending money on us and spending the time that they could have been spending, like my friends' parents, right, as they were in their 40s and 50s. Enjoying not having kids in the house. So it always made me appreciate what they were doing for my brother and I.
Nathan, it comes across you're really self-aware, and I'm wondering how that helps your clients nowadays.
Yeah, I would tell you that one of the things that I always think about is, am I making a good impact on the client or the customer? And always trying to make sure that I'm doing a good job for them, right? So it's not just about are we doing well for ourselves, but are we doing well for our clients too? So when I think of a job, I'm not thinking of just the fiber optic cable. It's what does this have to do, right? So from a public safety system, when you break it down, if this system doesn't work and when the cops need to talk to each other if there's an emergency, then I haven't done my job. So it's not just about laying the wire out and the drawings and everything else. It's about what this represents. What is this function and what is this system going to perform in the future? And I want to make sure that we do a great job so it does what it's supposed to do.
Chris?
Nathan, can you tell us a little bit about the relationship with your brother?
Yeah, my brother and I had a great relationship. Two different people, though. So he was very... I would say I'm an introvert, but he's more so an introvert. So he was very happy to spend time at home tinkering with his remote control cars and always very mechanically inclined. And that at this point now is not tinkering with remote control cars, it's motorcycles. But very supportive of each other. I mean, he was a very good weightlifter, which is a very individual sport. And I always supported him going to his tournaments for powerlifting, et cetera. So great relationship with my brother, just two different people.
In having a relationship with an opposite or a different person, do you think that translates into your ability to communicate now as a leader?
I think so. You have to find some commonality that you have with everybody, so there's something to talk about, or you understand their interests and where they're coming from, and being able to talk. I think on a lot of different subjects with a lot of different people is important as a leader. You can't shut yourself in your office and talk to nobody. You have to be able to get along with your people and see what interests them and find some commonality to draw upon.
Nathan, along those lines, I find it interesting that, you said after sports games, your parents would give you advice, but they were never critical. How have those conversations impacted the conversations you're having today?
Yeah, I'm not a screamer, right? So somewhere along the line, I'm not going to be critical of somebody, but I will point out some of the things that I think they can do better, what we as a company could have done better, or even perhaps what I could have done better so that they can learn from me too. And I've never been a person that responded to a coach that yelled and screamed. It's just not who I am. And I don't think people need to be that way either. Some people respond to that.
And when you're faced with a tough decision, what do you hear your dad whispering in your ear?
That's a great question. He always said, listen, you got to put the pressure on yourself, or keep up the pressure. Always, strive to do more, to do better, be disciplined. So when it comes time to make a tough decision, somewhere along the line, it's like you just have to do it, right? You can't shrink from the moment.
You mentioned that when your dad was 38, he went back to school. What was the effect of that on you? What's the effect of that on you?
Yeah, very inspirational that at 38, right, not at 18, so 20 years after most people go to college, he decided that he did want to go to college and get a degree, and went to Penn and got a master's, so in 1971. So that has always been in the back of my mind with education.
Mm-hmm. So that you can put whatever you put your mind to, you can do. You can.
Correct.
What is the website address, Nathan, of this organization known as NexLyte?
So NexLyteTech.com, so NexLytetech.com.
We've been speaking with Nathan Niles, President and CEO of NexLyte, here on Executive Leaders Radio. Don't forget to visit our website. It's executiveleadersradio.com. To learn more about our executive leaders, it's executiveleadersradio.com. To learn more about our executive leaders, stick around. We'll be back in a moment right after this quick break.
You now can recognize your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, executiveleadersradio.com. Yes, you can recognize your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, executiveleadersradio.com. Simply visit executiveleadersradio.com, securely enter their info, and we'll reach out to spotlight your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, executiveleadersradio.com. Don't wait. This radio and online social media and search engine exposure is quite valuable to your advisors. Yes, this radio and online social media exposure is free and quite valuable to your business advisors who deserve to be recognized. Visit executiveleadersradio.com now to nominate your deserving business advisors.
Back. You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen. We'd like to introduce Mason Reiner, co-founder and chief executive officer of an organization known as Our Health. Mason, what is Our Health? What are you guys up to?
We operate high-touch, advanced primary care health centers for employers that want to offer an amazing benefit to their employees while also reducing their health care costs. And our mission is to ensure that everyone has convenient access to a real relationship with a personal primary care physician, because that's the key to achieving our optimum health.
And how'd you get a job with this company?
I started the company.
Excellent. Where are you from originally, and how many brothers and sisters? Where are you in the pecking order?
Long Island, and I'm the middle child, an older brother, and a younger sister.
All righty, Drew.
Yeah, Mason, you told us you worked at a deli in 7th, 8th grade, and at the end of the day, you would come to the front and play Jeopardy with the other adults. What does that tell us about you?
I think that tells you that I have a real passion for learning new things across a wide variety of topics.
And you also mentioned that you were in a leadership group at your synagogue. What was that experience?
Yeah, so I was very involved as a child, as a young person in my synagogue youth group, and I really took on multiple regional leadership positions that spanned not only my synagogue but also other synagogues in the greater New York area where I grew up.
What was a key takeaway of that experience?
I think a key takeaway experience from that experience was that too often people are hesitant to step into a leadership role when leadership is sorely necessary. So if you see an opportunity where folks aren't willing to step up, it's really critical that you embrace that and step into that leadership role.
Mm-hmm. David?
So, Mason, from our conversation in the green room, it seems to keep coming back to you have a passion for making sure that the greater good is taken care of. And tell us a little bit more about where that comes from.
So I think that comes from a real focus on living with purpose. That we in life we have to really understand and focus on what's important to us and what we're going to really look back with pride on and say, I'm really happy that I accomplished that in life. I really feel good about having accomplished that in life. And that's typically not going to be about, whether I just was able to amass a lot of money or a lot of material possessions. That is much more about purpose and meaning.
Mm-hmm. Ethan?
Mason, where did this entrepreneurial spirit in you originate from?
So I think it probably originated with some, early conversations as a kid that I had with my father, where we talked about different types of businesses and what they did and why they did it and, why they were or were not successful. And I think that really instilled within me, a passion for dissecting and understanding businesses and then looking for opportunities to create new ones.
How did that prepare you for being a leader today, Mason?
So I think that being a leader, you have to be able to see the big picture and understand and really set the vision for the organization and inspire those around you in pursuit of a vision, because people really feel, again, going back to my earlier point, they really feel that they're making the most impact when they're united behind a vision that they believe in.
Mm-hmm. Shannon?
Who was someone outside of your immediate family that you looked up to as a kid, Mason?
I think it would definitely be the rabbi of my local synagogue was somebody that I really looked up to.
And what about him? Tell us more about that.
Because I think he really embodied the notion of living with purpose, of really understanding that our role in this world is not just for ourselves, but it's for a greater good. It's to impact those around us and to do things that we can be proud of. And, he really lived that and demonstrated that on a day-to-day basis.
And how does that show up when you're at work and in our health?
I think that what I'm trying to do each and every day with the teammates that we have, and sort of we call it our health family, is that everybody should really understand and be clear about that there is a purpose to this organization. This organization exists for a reason, for a vision, and we really impact and have a positive impact on people's lives day in and day out. And we hear that from our patients, how they say how engaging with our health has been really a life-changing experience for them, and that's really what the organization is all about.
Mm-hmm. Chris? Oh, you're muted there, Chris.
In the green room, you mentioned integrity. Where did you pick up that theme?
That, again, came, I think, very much back to my father. He demonstrated integrity each and every day. I don't have a single memory of my father doing something or anything which lacked integrity. And he always said to me, he said, when you look back on your life, you don't want to regret anything that you did. Don't make any decisions that you're going to regret later and say, hey, I wish I hadn't done that. And I think he really has always embodied the integrity that I look up to and try to emulate.
Do you feel you carry that same thought into your leadership now?
Absolutely. I mean, I try to each and every day treat the folks on our team, the patients that we interact with, and our clients with respect and honesty, because I think that ultimately is something that we can all be proud of.
Mm-hmm. You spoke about purpose and meaning in your life, and I got the sense that that's who you are, and that's what you brought to the business. Give me a little bit more about that, as opposed to, or instead of, or how that directs your life or your time spent? Give me a better feel for that.
So I think that really manifests itself in recognizing that, as a business owner and a business leader, you can become consumed by your business and do nothing else. And I think that's not healthy and not something, you don't want written on your tombstone at the end of your life. He was a great business leader. You want it to be more than that. So it's important to carve out in your day time for those things that make you a deeper and a more holistic person.
And I got the sense when we were speaking in the green room that faith plays a great deal in your life. Am I correct about that?
I think that's very, very perceptive. I do live my life with a strong faith, and it's a foundation of our family. And I think it's, again, really important to understand that what we do should be part of a greater good and a greater mission, just beyond ourselves.
Does that faith base, does that faith, does that integrity you spoke of, does that purpose and meaning, does that lend itself to business?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that people, both coworkers and clients, they appreciate that, they respect that, and they're attracted to that. When you live your life with integrity, with purpose, that's something that other people want to be a part of, and I think that leads ultimately to business success as well.
So you believe that this faith, that this purpose, that this mission is one of the reasons that you're able to attract quality teammates and also get and keep clients?
Absolutely. I think vision and purpose and mission are very empowering, and are contagious. So if you lead with clear vision and you lead with clear purpose and clear mission, I think others rally around that and want to be a part of that.
Jason, when you walk through the doors of Our Health, can you feel like your dad and the rabbi kind of inspiring the culture there?
I can definitely see that. I think that they're definitely inspiring me, absolutely, and I think by extension that they're making a big imprint on the culture. I don't know that my coworkers would say that they see my dad and my rabbi, but yes, I do think that by extension they're feeling the effects of that.
Mm-hmm. So the rabbi and your dad, these people had major impacts on your life. Is your dad aware of your business success nowadays?
Yes, he is, and he's very proud of it. And we do speak about it. And
why is he proud of it? Has he been to your office?
Yes, he has.
How do you think he felt visiting your office, and why?
Well, I'll tell you, interesting. He's actually met more than just visiting my office. He's actually had a fair amount of interaction with other folks on our team, and he's commented to me how impressed he is with the quality and integrity, frankly, and professionalism of the people that are part of our leadership team at Our Health, and that that really means a lot to me. That he respects the people that are part of our team.
Mm-hmm. So you basically took the baton around with it and created a team that you felt your dad would respect, and a business model that you would respect. Am I correct about that?
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm. What's the website address for this organization known as Our Health?
So it's the letter r-health.md.
Let me have that one more time.
The letter r-health, HEALTH.MD.
We've been speaking with Mason Reiner, co-founder and chief executive officer of Our Health, here on Executive Leaders Radio. Ethan, could you give us a rundown on who else we've had the opportunity of speaking with, please?
Yes, sir. We had a great show today, including Richard Jensen, CEO of Agora Cyber Charter School, Justin Spannuth, VP and COO of Unique Snacks, Nathan Niles, President and CEO of NexLyte, and Mason Reiner, co-founder and chief executive officer of Our Health.
I'd like to thank my co-hosts, including Shannon Lane, Newmark Knight Frank, Drew Hanlon, Ethan Milrod, GoTo, David Jackowitz, Evolution Financial Group, and Chris Glover, Employee Max, for giving me a hand structuring the questions. Hope providing for our listening audience an educational, entertaining show. I'd like to thank our listening audience. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a radio show. Don't forget to visit our website. It's executiveleadersradio.com. Learn more about our executive leaders. It's executiveleadersradio.com. To learn more about our executive leaders, thank you for joining us today. Have a nice day. Bye.